Hey folks, what's up? Look, so we've got another really fun episode, and I have two incredible creators on to talk about a new project that's coming out for, guess what, Kickstarter. You know we have love for Kickstarters here. Absolutely. And I'm just excited about this. This is when I tried to actually buy it before it even came out. Like I was at the table like a crackhead. Like I will say I'll do it, because I'm a crackhead. If you know that movie, thank you very much for being as old as I am. So, guests are ready. I'm ready. Are y'all ready? Then let's have some fun and let's go. Hey folks, what's up? I am Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak, and this is the Hungry Bleak Show. Wow, it's been a bit of a long week. It's cold here in Jersey, that's why I'm wearing a hoodie. But it's also because I've got two cold ass creators out here about to talk about their new project, Musa, Lion of Mali Kickstarter. Look, I already tried to buy this. Like I said, I was there because it looked so great, so cool, so amazing to see that just that preview there. I wanted it, but look, y'all heard enough from me. Let's talk to the guys behind this project. We have T.J. Sterling and Ade Heru.
All right, afternoon, evening. How's it going?
I always like to say good day because I never know what time it is. So I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, and it just makes it. I actually like saying that more, just because I don't know, it just feels kind of nice too. Just like, hey,
yeah,
good day.
It's got some Mr. Rogers energy to it that the world could definitely use right now.
Hey man, I wish we had about 5 clones of Mr. Rogers right now because we need some.
He was so dope.
We need some backup now. But I mean, next to Mr. Rogers, you guys are here and you're gonna hold it down in his absence, which I totally dig. Look, I
would have brought my cardigan out.
Oh man, look, I almost put on my sweater. I was like, let me put on, but it's just a jet black sweater. It's not like a Mr. Rogers sweater. It's not. It's not because I don't really have any cardigans. But I need to get on my cardigan game. I really do.
You can get a quarter zip and just catch up with the young folk.
Boom.
Yeah, my back hurt too much to catch up to them young folk. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm not catching up to none of these cats. And it's cool. I'm staying my lane with my oatmeal and my lactose-free dairy product, like non-dairy products. Stay in my lane. So first off, thank you very much for both of you being here. I truly appreciate it. And let's jump right into it. Musa, Lion of Mali. I love the look of it, the vibe of it, and I love taking these historical characters, real characters, and putting them into these either sci-fi, fantasy, or horror aspects and adventure. I love anything like that. But for people who don't know, because it's a name I heard a billion times when I was a kid, continuously. And when TJ said the name, I was like, I haven't heard that. You brought back a core memory. I was like, I haven't heard that since I was like maybe 10 years old, and my mother would constantly say that name. And I was like, ooh, okay, you definitely got me with that. But for people who don't know, who was Mansa Musa?
Listen, much like your mom, my grandparents had a list on the fridge of a long laundry list of Black inventors, Black inventions, core people that like changed and shaped history. So growing up, seeing that is always just like, oh man, like I'd love to learn more. And for me, as I became an adult, I was, Ade and I have had plenty of conversations about this, that the American school system doesn't necessarily like to highlight incredible history around Black and brown folks. It's just not something that they're interested in doing. They rather know about Davy Crockett or Mark Twain or Thomas Jefferson instead of, a guy like Mansa Musa or Hannibal or any of these amazing people who actually lived in history and actually did something. So for me, Musa was a guy I learned about during my African American studies class in college. And he was always a very intriguing figure to me. And, as time went on, I was like, man, I would love to tell a story about this guy, because when people really look at the history of Mansa Musa, there's not a ton of it out there. It's a lot of hearsay and a little bit of folklore. And there was a historical recounting from a guy who wrote on a scroll, somewhere in Egypt, and there's a lot of that. So like for us, we were like, this would be incredible story to tell. And everybody who knows me at Ray Media, we spent the last 10 years telling, a lot of fantastical sci-fi, fantasy, space opera type stories that are completely outside of the realm of what could actually happen. So we wanted to just bring it back down to earth and bring it back to something that historically was accurate, to an extent, and about a man who actually walked on the planet that we're walking on. So that's where the initial idea came from. And I was like, man, there's only one person I know that has the brilliance and has the experience and the knowledge of African history that I could build something like this with. And that was Ade. I just knew that I had to talk to him about it. I had to pull up and see what we could cook up together. You know what I mean? And that was 5 years ago.
Yeah. It was. I couldn't say no. I usually mention conversation, but I'm a fan of Ray Media and Ray Comics, and I met TJ on the other side of the table, and so when he came to me and told me like how different this was going to be compared to his usual library. One, I'm down for it anyway. I'm down for anything that's diasporic in nature, but like to be a part of that journey with him, and like he came with the, like he just said, hey, a comic about Musa, and that's what he came with. And it wasn't that he didn't have ideas; he was very open to collaboration and building and world building. And so that conversation went from, yeah, we should totally do that. Let me put the baby down, because I just had my first child, and my wife's like, you should do it. You can be up anyway. To us meeting on a regular basis, on a regular cadence, and just having these hours-long conversations about the research we've done and the things we see and like the world we wanted to build. And there were touchstones. And the funny thing is, like, we've been asked before, like, well, this is a little like Game of Thrones, this is a little like that. We never approached the project in that way. We just approached it knowing that folks were going to make mention of that. So it wasn't anything that we steered towards or steered away from. Like there's the Black Panther comparison as well, right? So those are the things that we talked about knowing people would mention, but we wanted to stay true to the history, to what we were finding in our research. And then we wanted to build this fantastic tale around it, and fantastic in that it's larger than life, not necessarily that it's so heavily magical and unrelatable. We have some sword and sorcery elements in the book, but a lot of it is downplayed. It almost verges on being a plot device, because Musa himself is moving the story so much that we don't have to really rely on him having superpowers or being this mythical figure beyond the personality and the person he already is or was.
I love the fact that when you said that he's going to be the actual one that's moving the story along, and the fact that you're getting the comparisons, obviously to Black Panther and Game of Thrones, anything like that, but the fact that you're making the story your own. It just happens to have those comparisons. I love that. That's one of the things I love about indie comics, is that you can go anywhere. You can do anything. You can make the story your own. You don't have to deal with 10,000 issues of lore with whatever character you're doing, but still staying true to the character and the research. What did you find to be one of the most interesting things in doing your research about Musa?
The fact that he was he was on some Paul Bunyan shit, man. Like he was like this mythical figure that almost was spoke about like he wasn't a real human being. Like the way he changed people's lives. I mean, again, the economies of places that he went that offset by just giving away millions of dollars in gold, and his pilgrimage to Mecca, his time in Egypt, like these historical recountings, and there's these incredible stories about that particular that particular empire being a sailing empire, that kings before him within the Keita clan would take thousands of ships and spread them across the continent, exterior, just going outside of the continent, to explore and look for other things and trade and come back with more knowledge. So like these people were incredibly intuitive and innovative, and just you could tell they were world building on their own stage, growing the empire one battle at a time, one diplomatic move at a time. And for me, I really probably I could speak for a little bit of both of us on this, that as we were researching, we saw so many interesting gaps in the story, and so many like pieces that just made a lot of sense, but then kind of like were head scratchers. Like, okay, well, this gives us a really beautiful platform to kind of weave in some of those missing details and create, you know, a fabric that actually is cohesive and makes sense from start to finish.
Oh yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, like being able to still use those real world events, but then kind of fill it in to do what you'd like to do. I love the fact that I'm seeing more figures from our folklore, from our history, being brought into comics now, being brought into this medium, because it's entertaining, obviously, beautiful. Like I said, I tried to buy the book at New York Comic Con. I really didn't want to say no, honestly. I didn't. I want to hear no, but the doors were about to open, and I had to let this man do his work. But it's the fact of bringing those stories into the medium, so it can actually make a whole new generation of kids who have never heard the name, or even, I shouldn't just say kids, but even adults, hearing these names of characters and going, oh, and saying this was an actual person at one time. This is an actual being in our history, and going to look it up. I love seeing those things of taking our folklore, bring it, whether you're bringing it into a comic modern day, or whether you're bringing that character into modern day and modernizing that story, what have you. What was your biggest challenge with this historical figure?
I think honestly, just from the point of view of world building and then into writing, it was how much there was. So we talked about there being these gaps and these holes in the history, right? But there's still so much. And so when we approached it, we knew we wanted it to be epic. We knew we wanted to tell a saga, and we knew we wanted to be a complete one and done story. So one of the first things we agreed on was it's got to be at least 100 pages. But as we started building and looking and like, oh, do you know this or this? Like, if we started off with young Musa, how do you get to middle-aged Musa and the trip to Mecca in 100 pages, right? So if you look closely at the cover, it'll say Musa, Lion of Mali, Book 1. And so one of the things we decided was that this was going to be a long journey, a saga for us, right? So we planned out 500 pages of plot. So we have the first script, and it's done, and it's dusted, and it's good, and it's available for pre-order on Kickstarter at musalionofmali.com. But we also know we're going to do books 2, 3, 4, and 5, where we actually give the story room to breathe, where we not only adhere to the history as we can find the evidence and as we can see the anecdotes and the artifacts, but also give the things we've injected into it room to breathe as well. So we have a sword and sorcery take on Musa. He is a bit of a mystic in this story. We don't hit you over the head with it in the first book. Like, we're going to give it room to grow. We're going to be introducing conspiracies and supporting characters who are almost as important to the story as Musa himself. We're going to give that room to breathe because we wanted to make sure that when we told the story, it would be as epic as possible. And as TJ said before, 100 pages is not a lot of real estate to get a whole lot of stuff done when you're building an IP from scratch. So I think the hardest part was really finding exactly how much makes for a great story and a great entree into the rest of the story we want to tell.
Okay, well, next time I see TJ, I'm gonna try and buy those other 4 volumes. Like, Rock, I'm gonna let you know right now, because I love hearing that you're looking forward and you're saying, well, we can't do this story in this amount of real estate, as you're saying. We need to let it breathe and let it go down. And speaking of the Kickstarter as well, I'm gonna bring the page up for the folks now. First off, the art is just beautiful. The art is just absolutely beautiful. As you can see, as of this recording, we are at $10,639. That's going to double easily by the day that this goes out, which is Friday. I'm speaking that into existence. I don't care. I'm speaking it in.
It lives to the ancestors' ears, sir. I'm not
I'm
going to tell you
right
now.
there. That's it. I absolutely loved. Yeah, there was just so much there. Like I said, the minute I heard TJ say Mansa Musa, and I was like, it just unlocked that core memory, and I was already ready for the story, because with TJ and Ray Media, there's a quality there. TJ could have told me it was about a janitor who does sock puppets during the weekend for the kids in like the hospital. I'd have been like, okay, bet I'm in. I don't.
Sounds like a Statham movie.
It does.
Janitor.
I may have just leaked the script that I'm writing for Jason Statham. It's out there, folks. And it's called The Janitor. This is his blue collar trilogy. This is a very important trilogy for him.
Okay.
It's very important. We have the beekeeper, the working man, and now the janitor.
Yeah,
Very
do a fourquel or I don't know, whatever that's called.
Quadrilogy. Yeah.
A quadrilogy. It's going to be the librarian. That's the next one.
No, I want the fry cook. I want the fry cook. I want him to fight people in a Waffle House. I want him to bring his fighting energy to a Waffle House and just let nature run its course.
Listen, and see him with a weird hat on, just beating the shit out of people with a waffle.
Don't get my hopes up, y'all. Don't get my hopes up. Come on now.
Hey, we're speaking things into existence. Why not have that?
Don't do that. Because I want that on Amazon Prime right now. I want that on Prime tonight. That's a popcorn movie right there. I'm speaking of something that will end up being more than a popcorn movie in the future. Musa, Line of Mali, speaking that into existence, folks. This book is just so beautiful. And I'm going to read this real quick. Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man in history, steps off the pages of legend in an epic tale of family, magic, and empire building as he embarks on a journey that will shape the destiny of an entire continent and quite possibly the world. That is a heavy, powerful statement. That is probably the heaviest statement I've ever read on any Kickstarter, and I'm here for it.
Right.
Every bit of it. Tell us about, what obviously don't give us the whole story, but what kind of adventures will we get in the first book?
So, most people, when they think of Mansa Musa, they think of the ruler, and Mansa actually means sultan in Arabic. So basically, that's kind of like the end of his journey, and that's who most people know. I mean, that was the guy that was on the world map. It was literally drawn on a world map for the entire globe to see back in the 14th century, and literally, our thought was, while the end of that journey is dope, I think it'd be even cooler if we could go back to the beginning of his journey, to where he's a young man, as we like to call him, YN Musa.
All right. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Bought that life, and just a scrapper, a brawler, brash, bold, and just a dude that's hungry for battle, hungry for power, but at the same time hungry for knowledge. So we brought it back to where he was a younger man, and you can kind of see at the beginning of the book what some of his adventures are at, and what they're kind of like culminating into. And then we kind of get slowly into his relationship with his family, his brother, his uncle, and then we eventually get to the antagonist, White Aminata, who you're seeing right here, who is the pirate bandit queen, polar opposite of Musa in terms of what she represents. She's literally, I guess you could say, the voice of the downtrodden, where Musa might be the voice of the opulent in this particular section of the world. So yeah, Ade.
Yeah, no, we wanted to have a story that's centered on Musa, but in all of our world building, we fell in love with Mali. Right, we fell in love with the setting, and we understood that in order for people to really buy into this version of the story, it's going to have real world touchstones. And so when you're flipping through, you'll see a lot of architecture and a lot of locales that are very reminiscent, if not straight ripped out of history. But we wanted to populate that Mali with characters that were relatable, believable, that had human reactions to one another. So we're talking about like White Aminata being the antagonist. We also have other characters that are served up that have their own plots, like the King Abu Bakari, who is Musa's uncle. He's a king who's he's not in decline, but he's done all he wants to do. So he's chilling, and he's living his best life. We have Suleiman, who is Musa's older brother. He's a fastidious, logistical guy. He's the big brain. He's the one who thinks twice and acts once, where Musa might just like act twice and think about it afterwards, depending on how it goes. And so we explored that relationship and that dichotomy. We introduced supporting characters, people who believe in Musa but aren't afraid to check him. And we also introduced a big conspiracy that's going to run a big thread throughout all 5 books. But we have the introduction of that as well, because we're looking at a Mali that is still growing by leaps and bounds, and it's growing because of conflict, whether it's martial or political or what have you. And so while Musa's swinging the blade and doing all of that, we're going to be also delving into what happens behind the throne and in the shadows in Mali. There are a lot of smiling citizens. It's a very busy marketplace, you'll see, but there's shadows, and there are things in the works that are going to make this a very, very well realized universe. And I would love for people to come to us at a table at a con and say they love Musa, but I know they're going to say they love White Aminata. I know they're going to be people who come saying they love Suleiman and they want him to have his own spin-off book. There are going to be people who want to see more of the king. They want to see all these characters. And that was, I think, our goal, was to create a Mali that was as big or bigger than, the Musa that we were presenting.
I love that you're making Mali basically a character in the story. That's always something that I love, is when the setting or what have you is so brilliant, is so bright, from what I've seen of the art, from so brilliant, so bright, that it becomes a character all on its own, and you want to know more about Mali. You want to know more about the denizens. You want to know more about the guy in the corner market that looks, he's standing out for a particular reason, and you don't know why, you see him out the corner of your eye. White Aminata, I have to say, I'm already here for it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm already here for it. A woman with an eye patch and a sword, come on. Yes, absolutely. But they all look, but that's also another thing, like you were saying, when people are asking about this character, yes, we are going to love Musa, but I love this character. That's just such a hallmark of storytelling and the world building that you're bringing to this. Because if you can make us love or be interested or gravitate to every character or particular characters in the story, but also still love Musa, that is just incredible. Because I love stories like that where my attention is everywhere, because I want to know everything about this character. And if you wanted to you could do a spin-off of somebody. If you want to do a spin-off of this person, I mean, you're going to need like
Relations.
I mean, you're gonna need like limited series, like live action, to go along with like the trilogy that you will have for the Musa line of Mali movies that are going to be coming out in the next few years. Speaking it into fruition.
Hey, if you want to bring a Musa verse out there, I'm never gonna tell you to not make my dreams come true, sir.
You better copyright that tomorrow. I'm gonna tell you right now that Musa verse is on. That's it. That's it. The art is just beautiful. I mean, it pulls you in so much, whether it is this scene with the White Aminata, where you can basically, you really feel the heat and the flames in this scene. Truthfully, I love when art and a scene and everything about it, just you can feel the sensations to it. You can feel the wonder in the face right here, like the architecture. Like I said, this marketplace, you can feel it hum, the whole vibe of it. You're bringing it to life in such a beautiful way, and there aren't even any words here, which shows me if that's what I'm getting with the art, I know the words are going to be hitting me just as much. And again, that makes me excited. That makes me excited to read something. I love that feeling of the anticipation. And I know when the PDF and when the actual print copy get here, I'm going to be happy as anything. And I love that. Can you tell us about the creative team that you have for this beautifully done book?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. So when I originally were finalizing the script and working on story elements, we, came up with something that we're really, really confident with. But then we were kind of at that point starting to think tank how we wanted the book to look in our heads, how we saw the vision of it. And I know we had kind of equivocally agreed on that, like, this would be really dope if we gave it like an anthology feel, because a character like Mansa Musa is so larger than life. He needs to have more than just one artist be a part of it. So we wanted to give as many opportunities as we could to Black and brown creators within the diaspora of indie comics. And you can kind of see some of these creative teams, some of these people here that were involved in chapter 1 with Stanley Obende. He's a gentleman out of Ghana. He looks out his window and sees I joke with him. I like to say he looks out his window and sees the Serengeti, but I'm sure he sees an opening or some metropolitan place. But he brought some real life experiences. Hey, this is my backyard. I see this all the time. He brought a lot of that vibe to the story. Wellington Nomo in chapter 2, gentleman out of the Dominican Republic who absolutely killed it. Ranthony Height, Mario Teresi on chapter 3, and Sean Damian Hill, who's a Marvel and DC artist, also Okama's Dark History artist, closed it out with chapter 4. And then we came on with staff lettering dude in the team that is Annual Design and Daron Bennett. absolutely incredible. His cats won
Mhm.
Eisners and Harveys and all kinds of shit. Like, you know, he did excellence. That's correct. So like,
Sick, man.
dude's a legend, and it's an honor to continue working and building with him every single time we have a new project out, because he's the guy. But yeah, man, and then we have a host of great cover artists who, you know, contributed to the book, like Kanan White and Karen Grant, who gave us some absolutely beautiful work. Karen Grant gave us 2 pieces, a book for interior pinup image, as well as a wraparound Kickstarter exclusive cover that you can only get here on the Kickstarter, never be printed again. And yeah, that's a little bit about the creative team, man. Such a good time working with them. The story is the same from chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're not going to get a different story. It might be different artists, but there's not going to be a beat that gets missed at all from one chapter to another.
Yeah, it's a unified vision that comes through in the final product. Definitely.
I absolutely love that. The team looks incredible. Obviously, there are some names that I know, some names I don't know. As I was saying with my my hoodie here, excellence. And one design is why I know what lettering does. I did not know a lot about lettering. Like when you most of the times you hear about comics, for people who may not know about certain things, you're more concerned with the writer and the artist. You don't think about editor. You don't think about design logo or logo design. You don't think about the other things that make the comic hum, that make it sing, that make it really pop. And I was watching a panel. This was during the pandemic. It was a panel for, can't even remember. It may have been New York Comic Con, and it was a panel on excellence. And Durham speaking, and I listened to what he was saying. And I was like, oh, that's what he does. That's cool. So it gave me a new appreciation. So every time I see and world design, I go, this book is about to be incredible. This book is about to hit. And every time it hits absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I absolutely love the team that you have here and everything that's going on with this book. Now, you said that you have 5 chapters, correct?
Yeah, 5 books. So
5 books.
Yeah, 5 books, 5 100-page, 100-page, collections of plot, and we've scripted the first, as you can see here, and we've gotten this across the finish line, at least to the point where it is now. And we know that once we get this into folks' hands, start getting their feedback, start getting their energy, start vibing with them, it'll help us really bring that vision to life. We know where we want to go, but we also value the input of the folks and the reception that we hope to get for the book, and we want it to be representative. Not to say that it's a book by committee, but we do want to make sure that if someone says, "I really like this character," I was like, well, you're in luck, because everyone said that this character gets a lot more coverage. And this book was our love letter to the diaspora to begin with, so we want to make sure it's representative of what folks are really wanting. They're voting with their dollars. We want to give them an administration they can be happy with.
Absolutely. Now, I love the fact that it's also going to be more than 100 pages. I love that it's going to be something that you can, like, it's not going to be singles or floppies. Nothing against them, but I love to be able to hold a trade, a graphic novel in my hand and dive into that story, because sometimes 30 pages is not enough. It can give you a great amount, but just a taste of it. Do you find that you're going more towards graphic novel trade size books than just doing like single floppies for your stories?
Yeah, I mean, I have. I think people have. The last time I ran a Kickstarter was for single issues for Joystick Angels issue 2 and 3. And shout out to everybody who backed that campaign. The major difference on this campaign, Antonio's one of them. Major difference on this campaign is that the book is complete, so the wait period is going to be almost non-existent. To be perfectly honest, and we're very excited about that. But yeah, we, as fans, because Ada's a fan, I'm a fan of comics. I know you are too, Antonio. And besides being creatives, like, we want to put the fans first. We want to continue to center what we do around, serving the fans. The best way to do that, in my opinion, has been to create graphic novels. I did that with Shattered Visions. I literally, same scenario. We created a 100-page graphic novel, put it out, and it was better because people got a big chunk of the story right up front, and they were really able to dive into a universe and get invested. And I feel it's, easier to carry at a convention. It's easier to ship. It's not as expensive in terms of, print macros and pricing and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I personally love graphic novels. They look better on a table to me. They are literally like, it gives you more of a like a boutique quality. And I do think one of the guys who did it, pretty effortlessly with was Royer Coupe with his books at Line. Well, I want to say Line Forge, but Unique Studio.
Yeah, unique.
Yes.
But yeah, like he put out a bunch of graphic novels, and I think that really set him apart from folks that were selling single issues. Shout out to Roy.
Yeah, I mean, Royce, everything that's like such a beautiful story, and it just shows you like with everything with Unique Studios. I mean, just but you're right with that, with the graphic novel with the trade size, which I do appreciate more as well. Even if I have, whether it's the print, because I don't like to read print. I actually like to put it on my coffee table, but then I love to read the PDFs because sometimes I don't want my fingers messing it up. I don't want to get I'm not a collector, but I don't want to mess that up because they're such beautiful pieces of art, truthfully. Even though I know they're meant to be read, and I have friends who love the smell of the ink and everything, and I can appreciate that because I love it as well. But I don't want anything messing up my book. Well, I'm being honest with you. I'm very particular about, but I do appreciate that having 100+ pages of that. And I was wondering how you were feeling about that, like, because I've seen that it feels like Ray Media may be going more towards that. Which, if you do, I appreciate it. If you do not, I will still be buying your books.
Yeah, there's just if you're talking about inside baseball, it's like, for anybody who's watching, there's just two different business like structures for a trade paperback market and a single issue market. Trade paperback markets are typically more effective at a convention or some trade show of sorts. People do buy a lot of stuff at the comic shops that are trade paperback, so it's more like comics that they go there every week or every month for. They go for the new issue of whatever. So that business, that particular market within the business of comics is much different than trade. So like, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think that, you just have to understand which one actually makes sense for your business model as a publisher. And for us at Ray Media, and I'd like to even, presumptuously say Giant Killer Press, that graphic novels are the way to go. When Ade's making his own books, and I'm in the room just looking over his shoulder like, hey, bro, what you making? I'd be like, yo, make that 100 pages. Like, do that.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I'm pushing him all the way.
Yeah. No. He's absolutely right. I don't have the benefit of TJ's 10 years, but I hope 10 years from now to be able to say I made it at least half as far as he's made it. As just a guy on the demand side of the industry. And TJ's been to my house a couple times. He stayed with me and my family. He's been in the rooms. He's seen the shelves full of trades. Like I have, and what I haven't shown you, TJ, is the shed out back that's just full of boxes and boxes of floppies that I've been collecting since like being a kid. I don't want that. I love having them. I love them being polybagged and it's all beautiful. But I like having the succinct, that discreet packet of entertainment. And I can flip through it and I can carry it and I can put it on the shelf and I can look at the thicker back. And I don't have to worry about my son ripping the staples out of anything. And so that's where I am. And the go forward for me is to tell, Musa's the blueprint. It's the first big project I've been a part of. But I anticipate doing this going forward. Big stories with big impact. And having it out there, letting people really get something to sink their teeth into. And again, no shade against the floppies. I just know that my floppy making days can't be over if I never start them. I don't think I'm going to start them. I don't think I'm doing floppy days.
That's a great way to look at it. With doing Musa, are there any other ideas aside from characters in the story? Are there any other real life characters or even folklore characters that you may want to create more stories like this and bring more of this to us?
Yeah, we have a bunch of, because we sat down and we really cooked up what the stories would be from volume 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We have a pretty solid idea. And what's been interesting going to cons, again, Musa Line of Mali saw the light of day at 2 cons, New York Comic Con and Baltimore Comic Con, just as a sample book for people to kind of peruse, to get ready for the Kickstarter. And what was crazy to me was that in such a short period of time, there was a lot of feedback, a lot of great ideas, which cooked up more ideas in my head for different types of stories we could tell with this character and what we could do with them. So, yeah, this is just the beginning. It's just the taste, and we hope that it's a strong enough hit that you guys are gonna tap your vein and be itching on the corner, Tyrone Bigham style. For
Oh yeah.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah.
Oh damn.
Oh yeah.
I gotta laugh. You bring up Tyrone Biggums. I'm sorry. I gotta laugh at that one. Oh my god. No, I love the idea of this. I love that we can be getting more of this, and we will be getting more of this, because this is, like I said, a name I haven't heard of in years. But to bring a name that hits a core memory with me, and then you're going to bring it to people who may not have heard the name, who may not know the character, but you're going to bring it to them in such an entertaining, beautiful way of weaving the reality and storytelling and creating and using real world events, but still creating your own world with it, is absolutely beautiful. So I need to ask you, as indie creators, what is your favorite thing about being an indie creator?
Yo, to be honest, every time I get a chance to, because y'all, we got to keep it a buck here. We gonna keep it a buck on the Hungry Prince show. We don't fuck around. We tell like it is, and comics is really hard work. It's like some of the hardest work that you'll ever do, because it tests you in all kinds of different ways. Tests your patience level, tests your creative levels, your foresight, your problem solving skills. It tests basically everything in real time. And a lot of times you don't know if the juice will be worth the squeeze when said project is done. You've got no clue what it will do. So literally you're taking this leap of faith with yourself, betting on yourself. You're taking a leap of faith with your team, the people you're working with, and just basically praying that, hey, everything that I build, everything that I make is going to become what I envision it to be. And when it does finally do that, and you see people interact and engage with the content at conventions and at places that are literally like the hub for people like us that like to be in this space of nerddom and cool things, and it resonates with them, it speaks to them, and inspires them. And then you see young kids, who might have started out at like 7, and then, let's say 10 years later, as an example, they're 17, about to go to high school, and they've been buying and reading your books since then. And that inspiration and that fire that you're lighting in their creative spirit is, to me, like the most incredible thing, the most rewarding thing. And then not just on an exterior level, but on an interior level, like being able to see things that we think about come to life, that are intangible, that are now tangible and feel real. And it's like, man, this is such a dope idea. It's almost like serving my inner child and that inner version of us that's just appeased by these really cool stories. And it's just fun, man. Like, it's rewarding. It's a multi-dimensional experience, or 4-dimensional 4D experience a day.
Yeah, for me, it boils down to, like, not even one sentence. It's one word: is ownership. I've been a guy who's I did pretty well for myself at the day job. This is the odd job, but for the day job where I'm navigating corporate America and I'm doing all this stuff, working up the ladder, you don't get rich with a W-2. And they can tell you they love you at your job, and the moment you get hit by a bus or win the lottery and leave, they're going to replace you. And it's not yours if you can't pass it to your kids, right? So I could be, I'd be CEO of a company I didn't build, and if something happens to me, my kid turns 18 and graduates from college, he's not going to be automatically grandfathered in or fathered into that role. With this, we're building something that we have ownership in. Not only do we create it, but we have control of where it goes. We have control of the reactions that we evoke from people. We have the ability to let it evolve and not be beholden to shareholders or a status quo, or, like you said before, 10,000 back issues where, like, there's no Musa comic period other than this one. But we're also not fighting the stigma of decades and decades and decades of stories where we're trying to tell a Musa story, and people are going to be comparing us to that. So for me, it's ownership. It's the fact that we can evolve this any way we want to. We can take it as far as we want to take it. We could drop it right now if we wanted to. We won't. MusaLionofMali.com.
All right.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to threaten you, sir. I didn't mean to threaten.
Come on, man.
But we can do what we want to do with it. And at the end of all of this, we can look back and say, we did it our way. And I mean, that to me is the indie reason to do it. That's the reason to go indie.
That's outstanding. Those I always love hearing why someone loves to do it and why. And I've heard stories about, this, and I've seen people stressing out. I've seen, just everything. People like they, posting and a constant posting for Kickstarters. People saying that's like the most stressful thing. They're like, they hate it, but they also love it as well, back and forth. So I love hearing why people love being indie creators. Now, last thing, real quick. This is the lightning round. All right. What is getting you right now? What one thing that you are watching, playing, reading? What's one thing that is getting you, that is actually making you feel good right now as far as like geek culture? Like, what is it?
Yo, that Stranger Things season 5 is on point, man.
Okay.
I mean, at a few million an episode, they better get it right.
Yeah, that's
the cinematography, the directing, the color, the action. I feel like everything's pretty much perfect except how they did my man Lucas and his hair.
Oh yeah.
It really, as soon as I saw, I was like, how they gonna do my man like that? How they gonna do him like that? Like, there's so many pictures. You could take him to a black barber and get his Gumby proper, and they had to fuck it up. Millions of dollars later, they can't get the Gumby right. What is this?
No, they're always gonna.
They went to the Tyler Perry wiggetry expert by accident, because they both had the same name. The two people had the same name. They went to the wrong person. That's what I think happened. It probably didn't, but yeah, I haven't watched it yet because Welcome to Dairy has me between the two groups of kids. They got me because the adults in Dairy don't give a damn, and the adults, at least with the Stranger Things kids, they're at least there. You know what I mean? They're somewhat present, but in Dairy, them adults don't give a damn about them kids. They really don't.
Lord.
They really.
I've heard nothing but good things about that show. I need to hop on it too.
It's wonderful. Yeah. And what about you, Ade?
Mine is actually it's the thing I'm on. It's a very spiritual thing. I was telling TJ about this. So I not only do I write comics, I'm a game designer, tabletop game design. So I'm adventure modules, systems, board games, all that stuff. Like, I want to make it big in that as well. And one of the very first one I ever got was my 14th birthday. My dad's like, "What do you want for your birthday, Dave?" And I was like, "I want the Ninja Turtles RPG." They had the Palladium books, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. I got it at 14. It's a paperback book, floppy. I loved it. Wore the pages down. Palladium got the license back a couple years ago and actually did a Kickstarter for it. And so I went all in. I got the books, the Redux, all that good stuff, hardcover, full color pages, and all of that. That book showed up the morning we launched this Kickstarter. And it's important because the way I approach writing and world building is based on role-playing games. Like the role-playing game that taught me how to build a person from scratch, how to build a world from scratch, build a city, build an adventure, tell a story, how to be collaborative in storytelling. The book that taught me how to do it showed up on my front porch today that my brother TJ and I decided we were going to launch my first Kickstarter campaign. It's his fifth one. He's old at it. But for me, it's my first big attempt at making it big. And so I took that to be the sign. So when I get 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, I'm sitting down flipping through the book, feeling 14 again, and being reminded of what that book meant to me and what it set in motion. So that's the thing I'm on right now.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Anything that makes you that, again, like you're speaking to that inner you, that inner younger you, 14. For me, it's probably like 7 or so, like that. Where you're able to make that part of you happy, that part that, it kind of heals you, kind of heals your soul, kind of just brings you alive, and it brings that light back into your eyes. That's beautiful. Anything that does that, especially with, whether it's a comic, whether it's a novel, whether it's a game, whether it's a tabletop, whether it's like a certain song, like a movie, a series, anything like that. I was watching, for some reason, I'm not even going to be funny about this. The other day, I was watching some Who's the Boss? I have no idea why. No idea. Samantha. I don't know why, but it hit me. And I was like, why am I watching? I watched about 3 episodes and it made me feel, I don't know, just like light and like hope and everything. You know what I mean? It was just a very cathartic thing. I'm not going to go back and rewatch it, like not demeaning anything to it. It just made me feel like, wow, okay, good. It, like my back, like that straight, like it just, everything felt a little bit better.
Yeah. You probably had less bills the first time you watched it.
Yeah, I had no bills. The only thing I had to worry about was chocolate milk. That was all I had to worry about in school, man, was chocolate milk. That's it. Milk money. That's it.
Square pizzas.
That's hey man, I wish I could go back to times as simple as that some days. Just square pizza, chocolate milk, sitting with your friends in the cafeteria eating, and that's it, man. That's dodgeball, like the sound of the ball hitting, like that sound is in your memory. Like I hear it now and automatically dodge. Like it's a core memory.
That's PTSD, man. Sir. That's PTSD.
Hey, man, you call it whatever you want. I was having a good time at the time. I'm gonna be real with you. So, folks, look, Musa, Lion of Mali. It's going to be an epic. I'm calling it now. Probably about 5 Oscars. I'm gonna say by 5 Oscars.
I'll take that.
White Aminata, limited series is going to get about probably 10 Emmys. I'm gonna call it now. Okay. Saturn Awards are honestly going to be there. Golden Globes, probably a couple of Golden Globes, maybe about 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Maybe Ricky Gervais.
I mean, look, whoever they might ask y'all to present. I'm just saying. This is a beautiful comic. The work is incredible. The team is just stellar. I don't know what else to say about this except the link is in the episode description. Go pledge to this Kickstarter. That is well worth it. I don't bring you Kickstarters that I don't believe in or that I have not pledged in myself. I won't do that. I'm not going to ask anything of you that I will not do myself. That makes no sense at all. So if I'm here and I'm telling you, I got a look at the book in New York Comic Con. I was 3 pages in. I said, all right, cool. So you're going to take it out. I'll tap my card right now. We ain't got to talk about this. I'll go on about my business. You going about your business. We ain't got to say nothing. Say you lost it at like a fish and chips joint. Just say anything. It's cool. So I saw the work. It's absolutely beautiful, but that's what I expect from Ray Media. There is a quality standard that you're always here. And then you go, no, you raise the bar for yourself each and every single time. And I appreciate that. With your team, with the creators that you work with, I still think about Shattered Visions. So I know that I'm still going to be thinking about Musa, Lion of Mali, after I've read it for the 4th, 5th time.
And Dream Fury Comics, we working on volume 2 right now as well, working on the script for that. So I appreciate that, man. Yeah, like I said, I operate my business a little differently. I don't think about the 1s and 2s as much. I think more about the soul and the connection and that innate feeling that when you're around the right people, you're supposed to be there. And that's how it is when I'm hanging out with my boy Ade and I'm hanging out with his family, or I'm hanging out with Newton, or I'm hanging out with any other creative guy, team, guy or gal on my team. Shout out to Dr. Shamika Mitchell or, Sean Damian Hill, people who I really enjoy working with that are just brilliant at what they do and just a lot of fun to be around. So, yeah, man, like I said, we're here to serve everybody who's watching. If you guys like incredible comics made for the right reasons, not for, any purpose other than, it being a great story, this is the place to be. Don't walk, run over the Kickstarter and back. There's as low as $5 if you need to do that, but we promise you're not going to be disappointed by whatever.
Not
at all. Absolutely, this is a beautiful book. Thank you very much, as always, TJ. Like I said, you've always got a seat here. You let me know. That's it. I'll find a day. A day. You will be back when you are doing book 4, and you've already been optioned. You got MGM, Paramount, Netflix, everybody, BET. They're all looking. They're all trying to get you.
Musa, Lion of Mali, a BET Plus original. I like the sound of that.
As long as I don't hear Tyler Perry's Musa, Lion of Mali. Although he has money, I don't. Yes, please, just
Tamala Man is White Aminata.
All right, man, we're done with this. I have it on my notepad.
I'm just saying, the woman can sing. She might be able to do the work. I don't know.
Folks, Lion of Mali, Musa, go, pledge, check it out. It's absolutely beautiful, stunning art, incredible story. The team is awesome. The writing is exactly spectacular. You will not miss with this story. Folks, this has been another episode of the Hungry Bleak Show. I am Antonio Palmares, the hungriest man in the room. Take that however you want. Matter of fact, I'm going to go heat up some apple pie right now. Butter pecan ice cream. Not going to do eggnog pancakes tonight. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. That's my treat. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Folks, you all have a very good day. Enjoy the rest of it. Be safe, drink water, and as always, F Trump. Where them Epstein files at, man?
They're being
PDF,
redacted.
please.
They're being redacted.
I need to know. Put that marker down and let me see what's going on. I will see y'all later. Peace and thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bless everyone. Thank you.